Hello, everyone. I'm Governor John Carney. Thank you for joining us for the signing of Senate Bill number 66, an important piece of legislation that was worked on in a bipartisan way in the legislature. Coming to my desk, one of the real privileges that I have as your governor is to complete the good work of members of our General Assembly. And this is the case in point. We have with us today the prime sponsor of Senate Bill number 66, Senator López, represents the Greater Lewis, Rehoboth, southeastern part of Delaware, the ocean beach communities, just a great area to represent, I'm sure. And represent Frank Cooke. I should have said Senator López is a Republican, Frank Cooke is a Democrat. So we have a bipartisan effort here, which is always a good sign. And then we have one of our stars at the Department of Transportation, Shante Hastings, who's the Deputy Secretary, previously the Chief Engineer, and doing tremendous work for our state. We have before us a piece of legislation that at one level seems like it might be minor, but it addresses part of Delaware's approach to reentry, helping those who are incarcerated successfully reenter their communities. We know that when people are incarcerated, that our challenge is to make sure that they're better off when they come out in terms of their education, training, all the other kinds of things that help for a successful life than they are when they went in the first place. If not, then obviously that's negative for their neighbors, people around them, their family, themselves, and the community at large. And so taking it upon ourselves to look at the things that we can do to make it easier for people to be more successful as they reenter, as they leave prison. When you think about that, probably the most important thing is to make sure somebody can get a job. Because if you can't support yourself and your family and pay your obligations, everything else gets a heck of a lot harder. In fact, oftentimes it's the case that people that find their way to violating the law, it's because they don't have a good job and all the things that go into it. And so having transportation to get a good job is an important part of reentry, and that's what this bill addresses. And I want to thank Senator López, Representative Cooke, and all their colleagues for seeing that, the department and DMV for their approval here and their role in putting it in place. And turn it over now to Senator López for his thoughts. Thank you for your leadership on this piece of legislation.
Governor, thank you so much for this opportunity and for signing this piece of legislation early in the session, just a few weeks after it passed both chambers. As you mentioned, I'm really proud this afternoon to be here with my dear friend and colleague, Representative Cooke, who is one of the most thoughtful and caring members of the General Assembly that we have. And the reason why I love working with Representative Cooke is because he understands more than most that in issues like this, there are no district boundaries. As you mentioned, I have the great honor and privilege to represent Eastern Sussex County. Representative Cooke represents the Newcastle area upstate, and issues in regards to breaking down barriers for those who have served their time and making sure that we're doing all we can to reach out and support them as opposed to continuing to hold them down. Those are things that now more than ever we need to be focused on in the General Assembly. While $250 may not seem like a lot of money when you compare it to certain stimulus dollars that we've heard about lately and that are making also a very positive effect in our nation, in our communities, the bottom line is it's those small fees, it's those small penalties, whether it's $100, $200 or more, that really have a significant impact on those who are recently released and are unable to obtain transportation, get food, connect with their family members again, because they're worried about trying to make those dollars and get those dollars so that they can continue on with their lives. So when we saw in the code that this amount, this fee was there for the license renewal fee, we decided, all of my colleagues and I decided that it was important to get together and decide for the best of these individuals who have served their time, let's take that barrier away. Let's remove that barrier from those individuals and give them a lift up and another opportunity to, again, move forward. They've done their time and take a step in the right direction. So again, to me, that's what we should be continuing to look for. It's not just those big dollar type of things, but it's these types of items that we have in the code that I guess I'll use the word sort of antiquated now, that we really don't need, that we need to make sure that we're taking a careful look at. And again, I was really proud to work on this piece of legislation with Representative Cooke. I want to say something, Governor, if I can, and I know the representative will appreciate this. In addition to Representative Cooke, the man that served in his seat before, Representative J.J. Johnson, was a champion on criminal justice reform. And I spoke with him on the phone the other day, and he said how pleased he was that the General Assembly, in a bipartisan fashion, is continuing to work together to eliminate barriers and to reduce recidivism in Delaware. And that's what this piece of legislation does. So again, upstate, downstate, Black, brown, white, our communities, we need to be there to support all of our citizens when they're coming out of prison to make sure that they can reintegrate and succeed. And that's what this piece of legislation does. It embraces these individuals and gives them a hand to lift them forward and to move forward in their lives. So I'm really pleased now to go ahead and turn things over to my dear friend and my colleague, Representative Frank Cooke. Representative?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Governor. Appreciate for all that you're doing. I really want to thank Senator López for us working together and getting this done. When the rubber meets the road, this is what it's all about. So on this important bill that supports reentry, as a member of the DLBC, we are elated. We really got to look after those who have served their time in prison, and we want to get them back to a normal life. And I think this bill gets them there. I had a chance to participate in a reentry seminar about a year ago and learned all the barriers that when our folks from the prison have to go through so many barriers and getting their lives back to normal. And with this also puts their life back to normal in a positive way for their family and for their friends. It is so important when you can drive, not pay a fee or a fine when you go to motor vehicle to get your license back, and that you can go out and look for employment. But not only employment, you'll be able to drive your family for clothing, for food, for medicine. It is so important. So I just want to thank you. The governor working very hard with reentry, and he does every day. I know that. And I just want to thank you, Senator López, for getting me involved in this. And it was very, very important to me, to my heart, that we do this for the people of the state of Delaware. So important. And those who are incarcerated. So I want to just say thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cooke. And I would note for the record, I looked at the sponsors, sponsored by a number of former law enforcement officers like yourself, Representative Cooke, a former member of the Newcastle County Police, a couple former state troopers on there, and other Newcastle County Police. So with broad support and sponsorship, Democrats and Republicans, and former members of law enforcement. Shantae, thank you for being with us to represent the Department of Transportation. Thanks for your good work as the Deputy Secretary, formerly the Chief Engineer, for your perspective on this piece of legislation.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting our agency play a role in improving the reentry process for our citizens. We are happy to support this. We like to talk about the fact that transportation really does affect everyone. And when you pair transportation with opportunities, people have success. And so this is one way that we can do that, by taking away a barrier and allowing people to have the opportunity to have a driver's license, and whether it be to gain employment, to get healthcare, to get education, you name it, transportation is linked to that. And so we are just grateful for the opportunity to provide support on this, and congratulations on the legislation, Senator López and Representative Cooke.
Thank you very much, Shantae. And before I sign the legislation, just a general comment. This is the way it's supposed to work. This is the way I define the Delaware way, which is Democrats and Republicans working together, upstate, downstate, as you said, Senator López, regardless of district, looking out for the best interests of the people we serve. And so it is my real privilege to finish off your great work by signing Senate Bill number 66.